What's up everybody, it's me Chris and I've got another great video for you. In this video we're going to be actually building a clear PS4 controller. I'm actually going to cannibalize my orange controller. But you know, this is the best candidate to cannibalize because this is the one I play with the least. And I'm basically going to take just the motherboard and a few other things. I'm going to leave the buttons on back for a later day if I decide to use this shell. And I'm going to cannibalize every piece that I actually need for the controller. I've already pulled out the 4 screws in the controller. And the next thing that I'll have to do is actually take out the trigger stop so I can actually remove the shell. Before I get started, I want to go over a grocery list with you guys. I stopped by Radio Shack because I wanted to grab some switches, and the switches that I use are 9.5mm high-tack switches, and these switches run about $4, roughly $4.36. You need glue, hot glue gun. Got it right over there, and some glue to actually glue the buttons in. You need some Kynar wire, and the wire that I'm using is R30R-0100. Got 100 feet, and this is 30 gauge wire, so any 30 gauge wire for electronics should work just fine. I've got my Dremel tool out. I've got my actual big drill because I'm going to be drilling holes in the back in order to make a hole for my buttons on this clear case. And I've also got my box of treasure here. This is where I've got other tack switches. I've got all kind of stuff in here. I got actually a single tack switch, and I've got a lot of different LED lights that I ordered, and I'm gonna match a couple of them up to actually use inside this controller, which I'm also going to glue down. So I will start going through the process of building this, and not to make this video drawn out. When there's something I need to show you, I'll show you. Otherwise, you'll kind of see it coming together piece by piece. So let's get started. This is a good point to stop. As you can see, this controller didn't come with any of this stuff here that's inside of the actual Sony controller, so I'm gonna need to harvest that. So I'm gonna take this apart and replace it in here. So that'll be the first actual part of the install. So it should be fun. Alright guys, so the next thing that I'm going to do is actually go ahead and install the buttons in the back. And what I generally do for that is just try to feel where my bird finger is, because that's what I use to touch the buttons, and I kind of want them right in this area. I'm actually going to go ahead and get ready to drill these guys out, and this is where patience is a virtue. Whenever you're drilling into something that you are going to want to stay in pretty good condition, you need to make sure that you take your time and do a good job with the drilling. And so that's what I'm going to do right now, is make sure that I do a really good job with the drilling here. And I have to make sure I've got my big drill out, so I've got to be really precise with the holding here, and hopefully everything goes well. But I'll let you guys know. So far I've put in the actual charging plug where the LEDs live, and I've also glued in my 2 buttons. And I didn't do the best gluing job, but I will go in and clean them up. And it's important to do good work, because this is what you see once you actually have a clear controller. So that's something to definitely consider. I had to do some modification on the L1R1, but I was able to get them to work. This one works better than this one, but they both go down and come up, so they both should work the way they're supposed to work. I'm just going to play with them and see how they actually feel once I get in the game. And I may have to mod these, or I may end up going back to the regular buttons if they don't feel quite right. Alright guys, the next thing that I'm going to do is test some LEDs to see what's what. And I've got to actually put them in. I'm actually going to glue some in, and then I'll wire them in next. But I think I'm going to probably stick one right in this little area here, and one in this little area here that lights up and we'll see what happens. I may actually put some up top too. I just hadn't quite decided yet what I'm gonna do. You can kind of see what's going on, and it's gonna be a little bit more camouflage once I put all the other pieces in. But I've got an LED here, I've got one direct opposite of it, I've got one in the top upper corner beside the share and options button. So I have a total of 4, and I ended up going with the hyper whites because I thought that would complement this controller the best. So I just finished the start of modding the touchpad, and as you can see, you've got, this is the standard one and this is the clear one. I've taken it apart and I'm in the process of actually putting everything back the way it was so that it works correctly. So I've got to go in and reinstall this ribbon cable, and got a couple other little odds and ends, but so far this has not been too painful. Alright, I just put it back in on this side, so now I've got to run it up top here and through this little part there, and it turns around in there, and this just kind of sits in here like so. And we've got a working touchpad again, I think, once we connect this part. So that was pretty cool, pretty painless. You just have to take your time, but I've got it working. And again, this is the old piece, so I've got a spare. But they look pretty close, but I like being able to see through it. I think that's really cool. You've got all the buttons in, L2, R2, what's the other ones? L1, R1. I'm a little delirious because I've been working. I went with this stick setup because I wanted to offset. I wanted one that was clear and one that was normal. And I went with the clear D-pad, a couple clear buttons, and a couple of normal buttons, and I went with the all the way clear touchpad, and I went with the normal PlayStation button. So it looks kind of different, kind of weird. I'm gonna finish wiring this thing up. See all these wires back here? And when I'm done, I will put it together. I finally got my controller finished, my clear controller, and everything seems to be working the way it's supposed to. As you can see, there's a blue light on top. You can see everything that's going on inside of it. And I went back with the L2 and the R2 from my original controller because the ones that came with the kit just weren't working very well. And I wanted to make sure that I could still use these the way that I had been using them. And I went this route just to add some accent on this side and this side, and I think it looks pretty different. I'm gonna turn the light off so you can actually see. I've also added some lights in this controller as well, and I just want you guys to see. I have soldered into my rumble spots, and I actually think that looks pretty cool too. You see the V, but when I actually fire, it lights up. And when I reload, it lights up for a quick second. And when I jump, do my exo move. So it's very nice. Something different. There's the TV. Let me see, I can zoom in. Or my gaming monitor. And so, look down. As I shoot, lighten up. And I can double jump and knife from the back, reload, knife from the front, or jump from the front. So very nice. And I'm pretty happy with it. Comment, like, subscribe, let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out of here. Peace.